The room that wasn't normal. He was tired of searching for a place to live. The city was full of noise, full of people, full of expensive rent. He was just a simple guy trying to survive, trying to find a little peace. One night he found an ad online. It said, "Cheap room must accept conditions." There was no name, no number, just an address and one strange line. "You will not be alone." He laughed at that line. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe someone was just trying to be funny. But the rent was low, and he had no other choice. The next morning he packed a small bag and went to the location. The area was strange. It was quiet, too quiet. No cars, no people, no dogs, no sound at all. The house looked old, but not dirty. White walls, clean windows, a black door with no number. He stood there for a second and felt something cold in his chest. Still he knocked. The door opened slowly, but no one touched it. He stepped inside. The air smelled like metal, like a hospital. The floor was clean, too clean. He called out hello, but no answer came. Then she appeared, a woman, tall, thin skin, very smooth, eyes too bright like glass. She wore a long gray dress and spoke in a soft voice. "You came for the room." He nodded. She smiled, but her lips did not move much. No pets, no smoking, no loud noise, and one last thing, "My daughter comes with the room." He blinked. What? She repeated. "My daughter comes with the room." He laughed a little. "You mean like she lives in the house?" She looked at him. "No, she comes with the room." He did not understand, but the price was too good. The room was clean. The house was quiet. He was tired. He signed the paper. She gave him a key that felt warm in his hand. He walked down the hall. The room was small and neat. A bed, a desk, a small light. The window had no view. He unpacked his things and sat down on the bed. Then he saw it on the wall near the bed. A small mark, glowing, very soft. It looked like a circle inside a square with lines around it. He touched it, and it felt alive, like it was breathing. He looked around. No one, no sound. He lay down to rest. Hours passed. The house stayed silent, but something was watching at night. He woke up. The light was off, but he could see, not with his eyes but with his mind. He heard a sound from the closet, soft, like breathing. He stood up, walked slowly to the closet. His hand was shaking. He opened the door. She was sitting inside, a girl, maybe 17, maybe more. Long black hair, skin, pale eyes glowing light blue. She looked at him and said in a calm voice, "You are the new one." He stepped back. "Who are you?" She stood up slowly. "My name is Rena. I come with the room." He tried to speak, but no words came. He ran to the hallway. The landlord was waiting there. She did not look surprised. She said only one thing. "The contract is complete." He looked at her. "Is she your daughter?" She nodded. "Is she human?" The landlord smiled. "Do you feel human?" He did not answer. She pointed to the glowing mark in his room. "It is connected to you now. You cannot leave, not yet." He felt dizzy. The air was heavier. He turned to Rena. She was standing behind him. She touched his arm. Her fingers were cold, but not lifeless. They pulsed like wires with energy. "What is this place?" he asked. "This is not just a room," she answered. "This is the beginning." The light in the hallway started to flicker. The walls made a low humming sound. He looked at the front door. He ran to it, tried to open it, but it would not move. It was sealed. He turned again. The landlord was gone. Only Rena remained. She walked up to him. "Do not be afraid. This house chose you." He backed away. "What do you mean?" She looked into his eyes. "Your blood is not normal. You were found. You were brought here for a reason." And then she whispered, "Others will come soon." The house shook, just a little, like it was breathing again, like it was waking up. He stood in silence, the room behind him glowing, the girl in front of him watching, and the world he knew fading slowly behind a black door that would never open again. Asterisk. He sat on the edge of the bed, feeling the walls around him, breathing slowly as if the house itself had lungs and thoughts of its own. Rena stood near the door, watching him with those glowing blue eyes that did not blink often, and her silence was louder than any voice he had ever heard. The air felt thick like fog inside his lungs, but he was not outside. He was inside a room that now felt more like a cage made of time and questions. She walked forward with no sound, her feet touching the ground like they were not heavy, like she was floating just a little above the floor. He asked again, "Who are you?" She tilted her head and said, "I already told you I am Rena, and I come with the room." He rubbed his face, trying to wake up, thinking maybe this was a dream. A strange dream where houses talk and girls glow and landlords vanish into the walls. He looked around and the walls were still humming like a machine far away, but everywhere at once. He said, "What do you mean you come with the room? Are you some kind of robot or ghost or?" She interrupted him gently. "I am not human. I was born far from this planet. I came here with my mother. She takes care of the house. And I take care of the bond." He stood up now. The word bond echoed in his head. "What bond?" he asked. She raised her hand slowly and pointed to the glowing mark on the wall. "That is part of it. You touched it." It responded. "Now we are linked." He stepped back again. "No, I did not agree to this. I just rented a room. I needed a place to sleep, not some alien connection thing. I want to leave." She looked at him with a calm sadness. "You cannot leave now. Not until the process is complete." He laughed once, but there was no humor in it. "This is insane." He grabbed his bag and moved toward the hallway. The front door was still there. He touched the handle, cold like ice. He pulled, nothing moved. It was like pulling on stone. He turned around. Rena was standing in the hallway already. She said, "The house does not let you go once you are chosen. You saw and you came here. You said yes. Now it begins." He felt something under his skin, a tingling, not like fear, not like pain, more like pressure, like something deep inside him was waking up. He dropped his bag. He sat on the floor. "Tell me what is happening." She sat across from him, legs crossed, hands on her knees, eyes soft and glowing. "Your body holds a key. Very few humans carry it. The ones who do are drawn to us, to the signal. The signal was the ad. We sent it. Only the right one would see it at the right time, and you saw it. You answered. Now we are connected." He touched his chest, felt his heartbeat, felt something else, another rhythm, like a second pulse underneath. A smaller beat. Rena said, "Do not be afraid. This is how the bond starts. You will feel more, see more, understand more." He said, "Why me? I am just a normal guy. No family, no special blood, nothing." She shook her head slowly. "That is not true. You are not normal, and you are not alone." Suddenly a sound broke the room, low and sharp like a scream. From metal, the lights flickered. A red glow came from the ceiling. "Warning," she said, "something is near." Something outside the house. He got to his feet. His hands were shaking. "What is it?" She stood beside him now, very close. Her body gave off a soft light. She said, "They come when a new bond is formed. They want to break it. They want to stop us, but I will not let them." Heard a loud thud at the door. Something hit it hard. Then again and again, not fists, not hands, something heavier, something clawed. He moved back. Rena raised her hand. The walls of the hallway glowed brighter. Symbols appeared across the surface, the same kind of mark he saw in the room. A circle inside a square with moving lines around it. She said, "Stay close to me." The front door cracked, just a little, enough to let in a thin, cold air. His skin froze. His breath turned white. The thing outside growled. She touched his shoulder. A sudden wave of heat went through his body. His hands stopped shaking. His mind cleared. He felt something rising inside. Not fear, power. The door slammed shut by itself. Rena's eyes burned brighter. She said, "They will come again, stronger. But now they know you are real. You are bonded and you are mine." He woke up on the floor, and the room was still glowing with a soft blue light that came from the walls and from Rena, who sat near the door with her eyes closed and her fingers touching the mark on the wood. His body felt different, lighter and heavier at the same time, like something inside him had changed during the night. Like his skin was the same, but what lived under it was not. The humming was louder now, not from the walls, but from himself, like a voice without words speaking from the center of his chest. He looked at Rena and asked, "What is happening to me?" She opened her eyes and said, "You are starting to align." "Align with what?" he asked. "With me," she said, "and with yourself." He stood slowly, his legs shaky but strong enough to move. He stepped to the window and looked outside. There was nothing but gray mist, no buildings, no streets, no sky. Just an endless fog, like the world had been erased or hidden. "This is not Earth," he said. She walked to him and said, "This is Earth. Not the part you knew. The house sits in a fold between what is seen and what is real." He turned and stared at her face. Her skin looked soft, but it shimmered like metal under sunlight. He asked, "What are you really?" She said, "I am not just one thing. I was created from many lines, lines of bloodlines of code lines of stars. I am part organic, part construct, part memory. And now I am part yours." He stepped back again. "This cannot be real. I am not ready for this. I am just a man, just a person who needed a place to sleep." She said, "No, you are not just anything. You were chosen. You were called. Your body carries a code old and hidden, buried deep by time and fear and human lies." He sat down again, holding his head. "This is too much. I cannot carry this. I do not even know what this is." She sat beside him, her voice like calm water. "You do not need to know everything now. Only that you are the first in a long time who survived the touch. Most break when the bond begins. You did not break. You opened." He looked at her and saw something else now, not just a glowing girl or an alien daughter. He saw something older, a piece of something bigger than himself, something that had waited for him in silence. "What do you mean survived?" She said, "Your kind was once closer to mine, before the fire, before the fall, before the forget. Humans were not always blind, but now most of you are asleep. You were never meant to be weak. You were never meant to be alone." He felt anger and fear and curiosity fighting inside him like waves. "Why me? Why now?" She said, "Your blood speaks. It sings the right pattern. The bond heard it and reached for you, and you came. The room was the test. The touch was the seal. Now you are in the fold." He asked, "What happens next?" She stood up and touched the wall again. The mark expanded, glowing brighter lines spread like vines across the surface. It showed symbols, like maps, like stories. "This is not just a house," she said. "It is a node, a memory core, a seed from the old world planted on Earth long ago." He stepped closer. The symbols moved when he looked at them. They changed shape, they shimmered like water. He reached out and the wall felt warm under his hand. Suddenly visions filled his mind. A sky with two suns, towers made of light, creatures with many eyes, ships flying through clouds of fire, a war, a scream. Then silence. He fell back, gasping. "What was that?" She said, "A piece of the archive. It opens to those who are linked. Now you carry the key." He held his hand out, and the skin shimmered faintly. The same pattern from the wall now marked his palm, a living tattoo pulsing slowly with energy. "What am I becoming?" She said, "Not something new, something old, something lost, and something dangerous." The room trembled. The lights dimmed. The mist outside turned darker. She looked up sharply. "They found us again. Who are they?" he asked. She said, "The null. They do not want the bond to grow. They want the code destroyed. They come with silence and leave with ash." He stood up, ready to run. But there was nowhere to go. This house was no longer part of his world, and maybe it never was. She walked to him and placed her hand on his heart, her fingers cold, her eyes bright. "You can fight them, but not alone. You need to accept the bond fully. You need to trust the fire inside you. It is not your enemy, it is your weapon." He closed his eyes. He let the sound inside him rise. He stopped running in his mind. He stopped saying no, and the bond opened, his body lit with golden light. Rena smiled. And the door began to shake again. The sound came again, louder. This time like metal grinding against bone, like something trying to tear the sky itself open. He stood still, eyes glowing softly, chest rising with slow fire as the bond inside him pulsed. With light, Rena moved toward the door, her feet silent, her hair floating, as if the air was underwater, and she could swim through it. "They are close," she said. "Their signal breaks the space around us. Their presence turns walls into whispers." He looked around the room and saw the walls shimmer like they were no longer solid. Symbols danced across the surface, moving fast, changing shape, burning bright, then fading again. The air grew heavier, each breath like lifting a stone. He asked, "Who are they?" She turned to him with eyes like moons and said, "They are the ones who destroy the code. They are the shadows behind every forgotten truth. They come for the source, and now you are the source." The house shook, not from within, but from outside, like Something large walked without feet, like gravity was bending around a form too dark to see. He stepped back as the hallway twisted. The front door now pulsed with red lines. A voice came from the other side, cold, mechanical. "You are not authorized to continue. Surrender the bonded or face erasure." He said, "What do they want from me?" Rena said, "They want to unmake you. They want to pull the fire from your blood and grind it into dust. They fear your spark because it can light others. You are not a threat alone, but you are a beginning." He clenched his fists. Energy sparked from his fingers without pain. The house responded to him now. Lights shifted. Walls breathed with his pulse. She said, "They have come too soon. You are not ready, but I will not let them take you." Door began to crack. A long, thin line opened in the center, glowing with a black light that swallowed all color. He reached for the mark on the wall. The moment his palm touched it, the entire room shifted. The floor dropped 1 inch, then another. Then they were no longer inside a house. They were in a chamber of white stone. Floating symbols surrounded them. "This is the fallback space," she said. "A pocket made for emergency. But they will find it soon." He looked around and saw mirrors. In each mirror he saw a version of himself. Some afraid, some angry, some glowing brighter than the sun. He asked, "What are these?" She said, "Possibilities, paths not taken yet. But they can teach you if you listen." The air cracked again this time. From above, the ceiling tore open, not like paper, but like memory, and from it fell the first hunter. It was tall, with limbs too long and armor that looked like old bone. Its face was smooth, with no eyes, only a mouth that opened sideways. It screeched, not with sound, but with thought. He fell to his knees, gripping his head. Rena moved between him and the creature. She raised her hand. A shield of light formed from her palm, and the screech stopped. The hunter moved fast. It bent space with every step. It tried to grab her. He stood and reached toward her back. The moment his fingers touched her shoulder, the shield grew 10 times brighter. The hunter screamed. Its body cracked. Then it vanished like smoke pulled backward through time. He gasped for breath. His heart felt like it was beating 2 rhythms, one human, one unknown. She looked at him with surprise. "You amplified me," she said. "The bond is learning. You are adapting faster than expected." He asked, "How many more will come?" She closed her eyes and listened. 5, maybe 6, maybe more. The first was only a scout. They will send stronger ones now. He looked at the mirror again. One version of himself stepped out. Not real, but not illusion. A shadow made of light. It spoke without lips. "You cannot wait. You must become. The time for questions is over. The time for power has begun." He reached toward the mirror. The shadow stepped into him. His chest exploded with warmth. Symbols appeared on his arms. Rena stepped back as his skin glowed like fire. Behind water, the walls began to melt, not from heat but from truth. The chamber was collapsing. The bond had grown too strong for the pocket to hold. She took his hand. "We must go now." "Where?" he asked. "To the origin," she said. "To the node that made this place. Only there can you unlock your full code. Only there can we fight what comes next." The ceiling cracked again. A dark claw reached in. They ran. The chamber bent around their steps. The walls turned into stars, and they fell into light. They fell through the light, not down, not up, but across, like time itself was folding around them, like pages in a book turning fast with no hands. He could not breathe, and yet he was not choking. He could not see, and yet visions poured into his mind. Faster than thought, Rena held his hand tight, her body flickering like flame in a storm, her voice inside. His mind saying, "We are almost there, just hold on, just one moment more." Then everything stopped. Silent stillness. They stood on a platform made of smooth black stone, floating in the middle of a sky with no sun, no stars, only soft red clouds swirling slowly around them like waiting giants. He looked around and saw ruins, towers, broken bridges, shattered, a garden of metal trees standing still, like statues of something ancient and long gone. "Where are we?" he asked. Rena stepped forward, her eyes scanning the horizon, her voice soft. "We are inside the core, the node, the heart of the earth, not the planet, but the system that holds it. This place was built long before your kind could walk. It is older than oceans, older than the moon. It is memory and machine combined. followed her through the ruins. Strange machines stood silent along the path, some shaped like insects, some like cages, some like nothing he could name. He felt their eyes on him, eyes that did not blink or see yet still watched. He asked, "What is this place really?" She touched a broken wall. Symbols lit up. The wall came alive, showing images, not drawings. Memories. He saw Earth, green and blue, full of light. Then he saw ships, thousands descending, covering the sky like a metal storm. Humans running, hiding, fighting. Then silence. Rena said, "Your history is not what you were told. Earth was never alone. Humans were seated here, placed, watched, guided, then forgotten. You are not native to this planet. You are survivors, the children of war, the broken results of a failed rebellion." He stepped back, his heart heavy. "This cannot be true. Everything I knew, my family, my world, all lies." She nodded. "Not lies, just incomplete pieces, covered to keep you calm, erased to keep you small." He looked at the sky. The clouds moved faster now. The air was humming. He asked, "Why did they hide it? Why keep us blind?" "Because," she said, "your kind carries something rare, something unstable, something powerful. The code inside you is not just a signal, it is a weapon, a seed. If it grows, it can destroy the ones who made you." And they fear that. He sat on a piece of broken metal, his hands shaking. "Then why bring me here? Why bond me? Why now?" She knelt beside him. "Because the code has begun to wake again across Earth, in small numbers, in silence, but it grows. And with each awakening, the old enemies come back to hunt, to kill, to erase. You are not the only one, but you are the first to reach this node. You are the first to survive the full bond. You are the key." He looked at her. "Then show me. Show me what I carry." She reached forward and placed both hands on his head. His mind exploded with visions. He saw a boy running through fire, a girl lifting a mountain with one scream, a city flying in the sky, a battle inside a black hole, and a throne empty waiting. He fell back, his breath sharp, his heart racing. "I saw myself in all of them," she said, "because you are them, and they are you. The code is not one person. It is a chain. Each bonded becomes part of the line. Each adds their voice. Each strengthens the core." He stood slowly, his body now glowing from inside, his veins lit with gold, his eyes no longer afraid. "Then I must protect them, all of them, even if they do not know." She smiled. "Then you are ready for the next step." The ground shook. A deep growl filled the sky. "They are here," she said. "They found us. The hunters never rest." He turned to the edge of the platform. Black ships pierced the red sky, falling like knives, thousands. He looked at Rena. "What do we do?" She pointed to the center of the ruins. A small tower still standing. Inside is the seed. If you reach it, the bond will complete. You will become more, and the war will begin. He ran. The wind screamed, metal trees bent. The sky cracked. He reached the tower, placed his hand on the door. The door opened. Inside was a chamber of light, and inside that light was him. Asterisk. He stood in the light, and the light became him. Not fire, not heat, but a truth that burned without pain and whispered without sound. Inside the chamber, he saw himself, but not as he was now. He saw versions of himself that were older, stronger, broken, healed, lost, reborn, all standing still inside the light like shadows waiting to move. He stepped forward, and the chamber responded. The walls shifted, the ground hummed, the air vibrated like it knew his name. The seed was not a thing, not a machine, not a stone. It was a pulse, a living force. Wrapped in code and memory, it floated in the center of the tower, glowing with blue and gold and silver. He reached toward it, and the moment his fingers touched the light, he saw everything. He saw Earth from above, small and beautiful and fragile. He saw cities rising and falling. He saw blood on stone. He saw the first spark of the code born in a child who never spoke. He saw the war that followed. He saw his face in the eyes of warriors long buried. He saw Rena waiting. He pulled back and gasped, his body now shaking, not from fear, but from weight. The truth had entered him, and now the choice waited. Rena stood behind him, her voice calm but heavy. "You touch the core. Now it will ask you, will you carry it? Will you accept the war? Will you give Up your old life, your old name, your old self. He looked at her, and if I say no, she paused, then the bond will break. The seed will return to sleep. The enemy will find others, and this version of you will vanish. He looked around. The chamber was silent. Again, but the silence had shape. It waited like breath before a scream. He stepped back and sat on the cold floor. He thought about his life, about nights spent alone, about dreams never chased, about a world that always felt too small, too loud, too. Fakey looked at his hands. They were glowing, not just with light but with memory. He asked, what happens if I say yes? Rena stepped closer. Then you become the start of something new. Not a hero, not a god, not a weapon, but a signal, a voice in the storm. And maybe a chance. He closed his eyes. The walls trembled, the sky above cracked. Ships moved through the clouds like hungry wolves. The enemy had arrived, no more waiting. She said the tower will hold them for only moments. They will offer you a deal. They always do. They will offer peace in exchange for silence. They will promise you a normal life. But they lie. They fear your light. They fear your choice. The chamber door opened. A shape entered, tall, thin, wrapped in shadow and metal. Its face was smooth and empty. Its voice was not sound. It spoke in thought. It said, you do not need to carry the code. You are not ready. You are only one. He stood up slowly. And I am enough. The shadow tilted its head. You will lose everything. You will be hunted. You will be used. He walked toward it, or I will be free. The shadow stepped back. The light from the seed grew brighter. Rena placed her hand on his shoulder. No one can choose for you. He turned to her. You believe in mesh? Nodded. I am bonded to you, but I would follow you even without it. The ground shook again. The sky burned. The tower screamed. He turned back to the seed, placed both hands on the core, and whispered yes. The light entered him fully. His body lifted. His skin cracked with golden lines. His eyes turned to fire. The code no longer whispered. It sang outside the tower. The ships began to fall one by one. Not from weapons, but from memory. From the truth released. The shadow screamed and vanished. Rena covered her face from the light, and when she opened her eyes, he was floating above the floor. His voice now echoed from everywhere. The choice is made. I will not run. I will not forget. I will not be silent. Tower opened. The light spilled into the sky, and the world began to change. The light did not fade. It grew. It climbed into the sky and wrapped itself around the air and the clouds and the broken machines. The tower no longer looked old. It stood like a pillar of fire with symbols running across its surface like water, like breath, like memory. He stood at the center, not floating, not flying, but held by the core, held by the bond, held by the decision. He had made. His body was changing, not into something alien, not into something new, but into what he had always been and never known. Rena watched from below, her eyes full of light, her hands pressed to her heart, her voice soft in the wind. You did it, she said. He looked down at her and smiled, not with lips, not with sound, but with soul. The sky tore open. The ships came through, dark like ash, sharp like bone. They moved in silence, but he heard them. He heard their fear. The hunters came first, wrapped in armor, teeth like blades, eyes like smoke. They landed around the tower, their weapons drawn, their minds already screaming. Eradicate the bonded, erase the code. But he raised his hand and the tower responded. Waves of memory burst out from the stone, not fire, not heat, but pure history, pure truth. The hunters saw. They saw the worlds they had burned, the lives they had ended, the children they had erased, and they screamed not in rage but in shame. One by one their bodies cracked, not from power, but from guilt, and they vanished into dust. More ships arrived, larger ones, carriers of war, mothers of silence. But the ground around the tower opened, and from it rose others. They came in light and shadow and flame and silence. All shapes, all voices, all bonded. Some were like him, some were like Rena. Some were not human at all, but they carried the same glow, the same pulse, the same truth. He looked at them, and they looked back, and without words they stood together. The enemy sent a message. Surrender or earth will fall. He replied with a single breath. then let it rise. The bonded moved, not with guns, not with machines, but with memory, with the weight of every forgotten name, with the fire of every hidden voice. They touched the air, and the air obeyed. The ships fell, not because they were shot, but because they no longer belonged. The sky cleared, the red clouds parted, the sun returned, and the world took its first honest breath. The tower quieted, the glow softened. He stepped down to the ground, the symbols on his skin still alive, still moving. Rena walked to him. "You changed everything," she said. He nodded. "So did you." Behind them, other bonded gathered, some crying, some silent, some looking to the stars, as if waiting for more. And maybe there would be more. One asked, "What happens now?" He looked around at the sky, at the earth, at the people, and said, "Now we build. The war is not over, but the silence is broken. We are no longer hidden. We are no longer few. From this day we do not run. From this day we rise." And the ground beneath them pulsed once, like a heartbeat, like the world itself had heard and understood. The tower closed. The core returned to sleep, but the code was awake, alive, free. He took Rena's hand. Together they walked forward, not as strangers, not as humans and aliens, but as bonded, as the beginning of something greater. In the distance others waited. More who would awaken, more who would rise. The fire would spread, not to destroy, but to remind, to return what was stolen. He looked up. The stars seemed closer now, brighter, clearer, like they were watching. And maybe they were, because this was not the end. This was the first page of a story finally being told, not in lies, not in fear, but in light.